What happens if Bijan Robinson has Bill Belichick land in Atlanta? How much of a hit does he take in our eyes versus a couple weeks ago when we're amped? Arthur Smith is gone. Everybody assumes an amazing coach is coming in to take over. Maybe Bill is an amazing coach to some people. Maybe he's not to you. We'll discuss this and more. But what's the impact? What's the risk level? Is Bijan still top 5 overall? Is he a top 5 running back? We'll discuss that and more because it is becoming increasingly likely that Bill Belichick is the top candidate for the Atlanta Falcons. So we'll break that down and more. Also, Adams to the Jets possibilities. We've heard this kicked around for a couple months now. We've really heard it pretty much all offseason, all in season, as people talked about this potentially looming as the Jets started looking to bring Rodgers back in 2024. They fuel up for one more big year. Rodgers is now talking about playing more than one season, and Adams is a potential trade opportunity for this New York Jets football team to take a big step forward. What would that do to the value of Garrett Wilson? What would that do to the value of Aaron Rodgers? What would it do to Breece Hall? What would it do to Davante Adams himself? We're breaking all that down and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So, we'll address this one real quick and then go over the Bijan topic, and so we'll hit this Adams thing first. But players on the Rodgers 2024 watch list, and what that means is that this man has a big say in New York about who comes in, who they go after, and he's got a watch list. You know, we always, in 2023, heading into the season, it was Lazard. Who was on his watch list? Randall Cobb. Who did this man want to bring in? Adams, his name came up, obviously, in 2023 in the offseason. But there's always a watch list for Aaron Rodgers. And a lot of people dramatize this. They think he's a drama queen. I love Aaron Rodgers. I like everything Aaron Rodgers stands for, to be honest. And I think that he gets a bad rap by so many in the media. They hate this man. They call him a diva. They call him an attention hog. And you know what I see? When a lot of people rip on Aaron Rodgers, talk about this and that, I see a bunch of people that probe into his world, into his life, and then complain and cry about it. Aaron Rodgers, so what if he gets a little attention here and there? You know, a lot of the time in the offseason when he's deciding what he wants to do, it's the media that probes into his life, goes to the extent of finding out he's going into a darkness retreat, probes into that constantly, then calls him a drama queen because he's doing things on his time frame and everybody's watching like a hawk. That's everyone's fault for just trying to get too involved in his life and then complain about it. That's your own fault. I love Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers to the moon. And as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the best humans in the NFL. And if you don't like that, that's the way I view it, and that's tough. This man right here, Aaron Rodgers, has a watch list according to ESPN. Not his list, but a list we compile from a media perspective about where this team could be going based on the direction of Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, 2024 watch list, Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams, who caught 68 touchdowns from Rodgers during the years together in Green Bay. This would be a trade with significant compensation because Adams, who turns 31 on Sunday, is under contract for in 2024 for $17 million. The Jets are reportedly prepared to pursue him. This could be, and the other thing that was really, really interesting that a lot of people glossed over is that Garrett Wilson changed his number 17, Davante Adams' number, and he changed it to 5. Now, he played at 5 in college. He played it with the number 5 in college. So there's some reasoning that might be completely unrelated to Davante Adams. But Davante Adams' number gets freed up potentially. Maybe another teammate grabs it. But 17 might become available. Number 5 is now going to be worn by Garrett Wilson. And he wanted to let everybody know. He tweeted this out on April 17, 2023. we'll talk about this. This came out in April, but then it got re-announced and redrudged up after the season ended. So he just wanted to let everybody know he's going to play as number 5 the season following, which is this year. So this has kind of been glossed over because it was so long ago. It got drudged up again, and everybody's wondering, is Davante Adams on his way to the New York Jets in 2024? If I had to put a number on it, an arbitrary number, I'd probably say there's something along the lines of a percentage chance of maybe 35-40%, which is a pretty high number when you think about it. That's not something like to balk over. Like a 30% chance this team goes hardcore is what I'm saying. I don't know that they get a deal done. There's got to be compensation on top of being willing to pay him $17 million guaranteed. There's a lot involved. There's dead cap hit for the Las Vegas Raiders. There's also the Raiders saying to themselves, look, we're trying to keep Pierce, or bring in another head coach. It's going to be Pierce. It is Pierce. We know it's Pierce. Pierce is going to want Adams there. Adams does love Pierce. Adams does kind of want to stay and be coached by this guy. The team loves him. The players love him. And if they bring in a big signal caller, I think Adams could be relatively happy. The problem is, you don't know what that looks like. Maybe they like O'Connell. Maybe they're going to go in the direction of O'Connell. I kind of think O'Connell's got upside, but I don't think Adams at his age is really wanting to wait on the development of another quarterback when he could walk over, maybe win a Super Bowl. I don't think he feels like he's winning a Super Bowl. I think he likes his coach. I think he likes his teammates. I think he likes the direction of this Las Vegas Raiders team under the command of Pierce. But I think that when push comes to shove, he is going to be pursuing or wanting to pursue this potential situation. The Raiders are also potentially not in a absolute win now mode. Maybe they feel they are. I know they feel like in some aspects they might be able to compete with any team on any given Sunday, but I think if you're looking at this thing from a Pierce perspective, this guy's 31 years old. We've already talked about what happens to wide receivers at the age of 30 and 31. Ziggy, how old is Davante Adams?
Davante Adams is 31 years old.
31 years old.
He was born on December 24th, 1992.
December. Ziggy off. December is his birthday, so he just turned 31. He played his 30-year-old season and was up and down, right? Didn't start off well. There's a theme here, people. We went over it in the offseason. We went over it recently. We went over it yesterday. We keep going over it. 30 years old, 30 to 31 years old is when you absolutely start the potential drop-off stage as a wide receiver. When you're 30 and you're Cooper Kupp and you can't stay healthy, why do you think that is? Luck? Bad luck? Just crazy set of circumstances? When you're Adams and you're 30 years old, you turn 31 at the end of the year, but you're 30 years old and you kind of struggle. I know it's quarterback related, but you're dropping off. You're also very injury prone. And so if you are thinking logically as Pierce and you're like, I don't think we're winning a Super Bowl in 2024. This will be my first year, full command of this offense. I think I have a little leeway, right? Let me get rid of Adams to a team that wants to win a Super Bowl, that might overpay, and let me start turning this team around. It will be a smart move by the Las Vegas Raiders to venture away from a 31-year-old wide receiver that turns 32, that honestly, when it comes down to it, doesn't threaten Garrett Wilson all that much. It feels a little bit like, I don't know. It feels a little bit like, I don't want to say, I'm trying to think of an older wide receiver that's been in this situation that came over. We're worried about the impact. It doesn't really, kind of like, in a way, Dalvin Cook coming over to the Jets in 2023 this past season, and how much panic that set in for Breece Hall owners. Oh my God, Dalvin Cook's coming in. What happens to Breece Hall? That's laughable now. I mean, we said it was laughable when it happened. A lot of people had knee-jerk reactions to that one. Oh, Dalvin Cook, such a scary piece, Smitty. What do we do, Smitty? What do we do if Dalvin Cook lands on the roster? He's so good, Smitty. He's going to vulture Breece Hall. No, we said take a look at the Eagles' early season schedule. The first month of football was brutal against the run. They were going to ease Breece Hall in. They wanted to potentially just run Cook into the ground and let Breece Hall kind of take off around week 5, week 6. Exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. Now, I think Adams is better in his play right now than Dalvin Cook was, but it's not that crazy to consider them a lot closer than I think people would like to admit. Now, you could say in a year from now, oh yeah, it was easy to see that Adams wasn't going to do anything. People are going to be really quick to have foggy memories about how they're going to judge Adams right now. Adams probably does have, when he's healthy and on the field, the ability to be a top 10 wide receiver. Problem is, he's going to struggle with injury a ton. The problem is, he is going to lose a step. It's all going to add up. It's all going to trickle down. I think he could have a really good, remarkable season, though, I will say, caveat with this man, where maybe his yardage is in the 900 range, but he has 10 touchdowns because this man knows him, and these guys, it's like playing catch in the backyard. So I do believe this could be a resurrection year for Davante Adams in New York. I think Davante Adams is a prime candidate to avoid in 2024 in Las Vegas. It just might be one of those awkward, weird 900-yard, 10-touchdown seasons. I don't think it affects this man all that much. This is the future. This man right here loves this man. And boy, wouldn't that be amazing for the little...
Is
Let me redo that. Wouldn't that be amazing for our little animation we have where these two are sitting there on the couch? Come on, man. Pick up.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey man, it's Davante Adams again. Call me back, bro.
In your eyes, the light that hit your eyes, complete your life.
Your eyes. Garrett Wilson and the boys. Your eyes. Rodgers has new toys. Your eyes. The lights, the heat. Your eyes. A Jets fan complete. Your eyes. You don't want to test Sauce Gardner's heat. Your eyes. I want to watch Brees Hall's quick feet. Jets country, let's ride.
If this man, Aaron Rodgers, gets his hands on this older yet potentially solid player in New York, he could feed him 10 touchdowns. But this is the future. Does it affect Garrett Wilson a little bit? Maybe, but in a sense, it could really help Garrett Wilson in some context, because I think at the end of the day, like I said, this guy's not delivering more than a 900 to a roughly 1,000-yard season. Anything can happen. 31 years old, there have been wide receivers that have delivered at 31 years old. It's not crazy. It's not out of this world insane. And if there's any wide receiver that's capable of it, it probably would be Adams. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the numbers I'm touting for Adams in New York are good. 900 to 1,000 yards and 10 TDs is fantastic. Like, for a 31-year-old wide receiver, that is good. In Las Vegas, it's likely going to be disappointment. The likelihood of this going down is tough to say. The Jets are all in. Robert Saleh is all in. This has got to be one of those years where they do everything they can to win. And I think this will be on the table in the coming months. Get ready to hear a whole lot about it. It's definitely going to be something we hear a ton about. So that's that piece of news right there. Bijan Robinson, look, this is something that I know is going to panic a lot of Peters out there. And to be honest, there's concern. I have some concern when I envision this man Bill Belichick coaching this Atlanta Falcons team. Number one, there are some positives. We have seen Ramondre Stevenson ball out for more than just a year. Like, he's been a staple in fantasy football. He's been an absolute marvel. We love Stevenson. Stevenson's one of the most talented running backs in the National Football League. You wouldn't know it if you looked at last year, because this man Bill Belichick did abuse him, did misuse him. And we kind of didn't even see the guy play anywhere near the potential he had to play. So I worry about, could Bijan, who we've just been absolutely just gutted all year long watching misuse happen with Bijan, workload divide, essentially being a backup, still producing number 9 overall fantasy football running back numbers as essentially a backup in the NFL. because of the way that Arthur Smith misused him. He was used as a backup. You can say he wasn't a backup all you want. Doesn't matter. Say whatever makes you feel better and sleep good at night. He still finished number 9 as a part-time player. Imagine what he'll do if he gets fed. Now, I think all this comes down to quarterback. All this comes down to quarterback. We've seen Bill use a running back like a workhorse. We've seen Bill use a running back in a way that's head scratching last year with Stevenson. But he does tend to, when a running back is hot, use that running back and absolutely make them into a player that gets a whole lot of production. Stevenson was fine for a while. So I have some hope that this will be okay. What we really need to wait on and not knee-jerk react about, if this does end up happening, if this marriage occurs between the Falcons and Bill Belichick, who's the OC, okay? And what does he say about Bijan? Because I'm sure he'll speak on it. We got an amazing guy, one of the best running backs in the National Football. We hear something like that to the moon, okay? Because then I know he's serious about using him. If this man doesn't mention Bijan at all, I'm a little concerned. Doesn't mean I'm out. It just means I'm concerned. And we also want to know who the quarterback is, because if they struggle to fill the quarterback spot, that's more important than anything. I think if the offense is functioning well and throwing the football down the field, Bill does love to run the ball. Bill does love defense, run the ball. I think London and Kyle Pitts have a higher ceiling with a guy like Ben Johnson coaching this Falcons team. But so maybe London and Pitts get a little bit of a knockdown from where Ben Johnson might have vaulted them up. But I think it all comes down to quarterback. If there's a great quarterback in place in Atlanta, and we feel like this offense can function and move down the field and get into the red zone on the regular, then I'm pretty much on board without any sort of hesitation or reservation. If this team, because of how Bill failed to identify who the top quarterback was on his roster in 2023, because Bill actually saw Mac Jones as a solid quarterback, those things are concerning to me. And I will have some concern as to who is quarterbacking this thing. So a lot to be determined. I don't want to leave it too open-ended. At the end of the day, I'm in on Bijan. I think the natural panic that will ensue when this man, Bill Belichick, becomes the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, the amount of knee-jerk reacting that will bump Bijan down a handful of spots will be acceptable enough for me to say I'm still in. I'm still one of the people in, totally in. First-round value, absolutely. Now I know I can get him a little lower than I would have, and I don't know if that's justifiable or not. It might be a steal. It might be warranted that he's dropping in many people's eyes. Where I get out or I start saying I'm diversifying, I'm taking Bijan in a couple leagues, but I'm not going to oversaturate my teams, is if this Atlanta Falcons team, under the command of Bill Belichick and whoever he brings in as OC, starts making bad decisions. If they think that they can rely upon the quarterback room they have, if they don't get a Michael Penix Jr. at the very least in the NFL draft here at the number 8 overall pick, if they don't invest in trying to go after Justin Fields and show aggression to go get a quarterback, let's say they try and get Fields and they fail, at least I'm feeling very confident they're trying to bring a big-name quarterback in, and then I'll be pretty confident they're going after a Drake May. Maybe they trade up, or they draft a Michael Penix Jr. early at number 8 overall. Those things need to be in play. If they don't bring in a quarterback with this number 8 overall pick, trade for Justin Fields, or figure something out on a significant level, it's going to be hard to imagine Bijan not having some ups and downs under Bill Belichick's command. Where I draft him will be determined by his ADP adjustment, and I think that the ADP world will be up and down on this one as we go through this roller coaster ride. A few more pieces of news here. So Bill Belichick, let me put this over here. This one right here. Sirianni has gotten the support from his players, including Jalen Hurts, which I think surprises a lot of people because the word has been as of late that Sirianni has lost the locker room, but apparently the locker room is behind him. He will have a meeting with his owner, and he apparently feels safe at this point. He's been involved in a lot of the interviews or the discussions about getting interviews set up for coaching staff changes, and I don't know that they would involve him too much in those if he was on his way out the door. So that's all pretty good news for Sirianni staying. I think who they bring in as a new staff under Sirianni will definitely determine how I value and view this man going forward. I think Sirianni's got some pros. He's also got a lot of cons. And so we'll just kind of play it by ear. I think for the most part, Jalen Hurts in 2024 is going to be undervalued. I think in Dynasty, he's already undervalued. I'm definitely all in on Jalen Hurts at a newfound third-round value. If he's dropping into the third and fourth round, I'm all about that. I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts. A lot of people might be, not this man. I'm going all in. I love Jalen Hurts. I don't care if Sirianni's concerning or we're worried about this Eagles team kind of falling flat and failing at the end of the 2023-2024, or the beginning of the playoffs, but the end of the season, falling flat, looking like they weren't the same team. I'm fine with ups and downs. I know Hurts can ball. Hurts was QB2 in fantasy. There's no concern. Let other people panic. And this goes for like Dak in some ways. I'm never really a big Dak Prescott drafter for whatever reason, but he was QB 3-4. And I think it's crazy because you do QB rankings, and I admit this myself, and I got him way too low. We got to look at fantasy a little different sometimes than NFL football. It rarely goes different ways. Usually it goes hand in hand, but with a guy like Dak, people want to rip on him, but he's QB 3-4. People want to rip on the way the Eagles have fallen apart, but Hurts is QB 2. So there's certain situations you got to look at differently. Head coach Mike Tomlin went from walking away from the podium, which on Instagram I said he looked like a baby. I know Ron was feeling the same way about this guy. And a lot of people got mad at me. Like, it's a dumb question. What was dumb? What was dumb about saying you got a year left on your contract? He just lost a big game. That's your job. You go up to the podium after a big win or after a big loss. I don't care whether you lost or not. You're going to be asked a question. When people came at me in my Instagram, I laughed and said, oh, what a dumb question. He wasn't going to answer stupid questions. Stupid questions like, hey, you got a year left on your contract, and didn't even get the rest of the question out. A lot of rumors circling about maybe he wants to take time off, whatever. It was a simple, normal question that you're going to ask. I would have asked it. Does that make me stupid? I would have asked it. I would have said, hey, you got 1 year left in your contract. He would have walked out. I would have asked a great question. That's a fine question. I don't care if you just lost. This is part of your job. And he was a baby about it. Head coach Tomlin says he's open to a contract extension. Oh, now you're willing to talk about it. Hey, is now a good time? Now he wants to stay longer, potentially. So Ron Navy's going to be pissed off about that piece of news. I'm sure he's already irate about it. There we go. McCarthy, we announced this on the live stream last night. Head coach Mike McCarthy staying for another year. Jerry Jones said that he believes everything's in place. This is the team that they're so close. They're ready to rumble. This is the greatest news that we could have got yesterday and today, to have CeeDee Lamb not have a change to his offense. Mike McCarthy is a big reason why CeeDee Lamb took a big leap forward this year. Whether you want to crap on Mike McCarthy as a coach and a finisher and being able to take this team deep into the playoffs or not, you can blame it on Dak, you can blame it on McCarthy. Again, we got to look at fantasy football a little bit different than NFL football sometimes. It's very rare that the things do not go hand in hand, but Mike McCarthy is fantastic for fantasy football. His offense is a top 5 offense, and it produced CeeDee Lamb, who is an absolute monster this season. And if anybody thinks McCarthy leaving is good for CeeDee Lamb, I've got a bridge to sell you.
Get lambed.
Great news. It's great news.
Get lambed.
Mike McCarthy, back in, baby. Just when you thought he was out, they pulled him back in. Great news. Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy said, hey, I'm in. Guess who else is in? Dak Prescott. Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy said Dak Prescott is the answer and the solution going forward. It's ridiculous, honestly. I even had a little bit of the, I don't know, joking around on Instagram stories and had my fun with it too. Like, oh, Dak will never win a Super Bowl. Dak, you gotta think about, like, you know, should this team change anything? But the bottom line is this: who are you gonna get that's better? This guy was QB3 statistically, or QB4 depending on your scoring fantasy. Still was great in the MVP talks all year long, and he crapped the bed at the end. But how are you going to find another quarterback that will get you where Dak got you, number one? And how do you know he won't crap the bed? And how do you know it's really all Dak's fault? It's a combination of different things. And replacing him would be ridiculous. It really would. And it hurts CeeDee Lamb. It helps no one. So Dak Prescott getting full support, as he should. Nobody expected anything different. Christian Watson removed from the injury report, which is good. He didn't get a lot of work last week, but he was out there, and this could be a good sign that he's getting closer to maybe getting full usage. Jaden Reed, who's also banged up, is the number one there until Watson rips away that title. Dobbs and Wicks have been filling in a great way. So this offense has a lot of good pass catchers, and if this guy gets like going, it'll be amazing to see him blow up in the postseason. It'd be fun. It'd also make for a confusing ranking next year. That guy has like 100 yards and a touchdown to leave the postseason. Everyone's gonna be like, wait a minute. Mark Andrews' ankle is questionable for this week, the divisional games. I don't know that he's gonna play. This sounds very much like it's next week. But if you're doing Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty, where they'll double your first deposit up to $100. That link is right here. I dropped it in the live chat this very second. So grab that link right now. Click it. Do it live. They'll double your first deposit up to $100. Do it live. Let me see if I can pin the link right now in the live chat. I will do so right here, right this very second. Here we go. Let me click it. Pin link. There we go. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. This is interesting if you're drafting in these mitten drafts for the playoffs and you're trying to predict like what player you can get later. This is a great player to grab, you know, in the middle rounds when he might come back. He might not help you this week, but in a mitten, you're trying to win every round. You're trying to advance to the next round. You got to have so many players playing, and having Super Bowl players, people in the Super Bowl that can help you. If you have the Ravens going to the Super Bowl, even if they don't win, then you can draft a mitten team that has this man, has Likely, has Lamar, and you've got three potential players that can score points for you in the Super Bowl on an Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty contest. So check it out. Mark Andrews. Where do we value him next year? I'd love to hear what tight end is Mark Andrews for you in 2024. Like, say, Andrews tight end 8, Andrews tight end 4, Andrews tight end 5. I would love to see, and I'll drag him on screen, where you guys picture him in 2024, because you've got Kelsey dropping down to the Andrews territory. You've got Njoku climbing up to the Kelsey and Andrews territory. It's a big blender right there. It's Laporta, it's McBride, and it's a tier break. Hawkinson coming back from an ACL and MCL injury. Where's Andrews go? I wouldn't be shocked if someone said 3, you know, like, because you could argue against Kelsey. You could argue against Njoku doing it with Deshaun Watson and staying healthy. It wouldn't be crazy. I don't know that Andrews will stay healthy either. Some might like Ferguson, number 3. Some might like Bowers, like your boy here, around 3-4. But it's hard to trust Andrews for sure. He's got potential, no doubt, but it's hard to trust him. You know, I don't blame anybody for having him 3 or 4. I don't blame anybody for having him like 7 or 8. Goodell announced that on Thursday that the scouting combine will remain in Indianapolis through 2025. So it's 2 more years of the NFL scouting combine in Indy. And the final piece of news, Anthony Richardson, who I love next year. Who I love for a lot of reasons. Number one, the climbing quarterback values right now with even Jordan Love. I mean, we know Stroud's climbed above AR5. Jordan Love could. You know, especially if Jordan Love has another stellar game, even if he loses in this next playoff matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. If he plays very well, he could climb above guys like AR5 and Burrow. Like, I wouldn't shock me at all if people started thinking like that. This is a show A guy we loved on this show through thick and thin as people jump ship on him. Oh, midseason, he's garbage. I can't believe I loved Jordan Love. Now, granted, I love T-Law and Jordan Love almost side by side, and T-Law failed. I think T-Law still has the potential, but he's clearly going to be off the radar until he can come in and convince us that it's worth even looking at. So, you hit some, you miss some, but Jordan Love, Superflex winner, Superflex monster, absolute gem. My how to dominate and win a Superflex strategy involved drafting a QB in round 1, going back to normal running back, tight end, and wide receiver drafting, and scooping up Jordan Love as your QB2, and that absolutely smashed. I can't tell you how many people have come in here and said, Smitty, I smashed my Superflex to pieces because of the Jordan Love strategy. And in the league that the Instagram league, where I say this is how you dominate a Superflex draft, and I show it, and I live stream it, won it 2 years in a row. This strategy is the best strategy in fantasy football in terms of Superflex. I will recreate it again. It'll have different names because Jordan Love won't be in that territory anymore, but my how to dominate a Superflex draft will be the same thing as it was last year, the year before. I can help you crush your Superflex draft. Look for the video coming out. We'll discuss who the next Jordan Love is, but the only way to do this, in my opinion, and dominate year after year after year in a Superflex is quarterback. Go back to normal drafting for a while until you push the envelope, and there's a couple quarterbacks that I'll identify that will be the guys you want to grab, and those are the quarterbacks that you're going to snag. Jordan Love was it. He absolutely smashed. And I would say the most percentage of people that have come to me the last week or two saying, I want a championship, I just wanted to let you know. And I always love when people tell me, hey, Smitty, haven't talked to you in a while, haven't called into the show, been busy, just wanted to let you know I crushed my league. I appreciate it. I did it using the Jordan Love strategy. Absolute glory. Absolute glory. AR5, okay, so on that, I sidetracked like crazy. This guy's going to fall. This guy's going to fall. I wouldn't be shocked if he was like a 4th or 5th round pick in one QB. In Superflex he won't fall. In Superflex he'll go like in the 1st round, or very top of round 2, just depending on what non QBs climb up the board and all that. But like in a 1 QB, this guy's gonna fall. This guy is a de facto, undeniable league winner in a round 4-5 territory because no one can fit him any higher. Just like Joe Burrow will be an absolute monster league winner in round 6-7. And I love early quarterbacks, so I'm not beholden to one strategy over the other. I will always tell you there's 1,000 ways to win. Early quarterback, love it. Middle range quarterback, love it. Late round quarterback, Joe Burrow, late round 6-7 round quarterback, love it. There's 100,000 ways to win. There's no right or wrong. There's too many good quarterbacks. You shouldn't draft a quarterback early. Wrong. Always wrong. That is the wrong answer. Always will be the wrong answer. I'll continue to preach that it's the wrong answer, and I'll tell you to take a lap. My take a lap button is not working. Always the wrong answer. You should do this. You shouldn't do anything. Number 1, there are 100,000 ways to win. Number 2, who in the hell are you to tell somebody how to draft when you don't even know if that's their weakness? That style of draft might not be conducive to their skill set. You might be better drafting late quarterback. You might be amazing at landing sleeper wide receivers or running backs, so maybe grabbing a Josh Allen in round 2 is the wisest move for you. It all depends on what is your skill set, your strength, your weakness, and I'm here to try and make your weaknesses a strength. That's why I have video courses on The Fantasy Football Show, articles, trade calculators, bold predictions, and video courses. The video courses on thefantasyfootballshow.com will cater to trying to turn every one of your weaknesses into a strength. When do we decide we're just going to stop learning? This is like school. Would you stop learning in your job Do you do extended education in your workplace? Of course you do. Do you try and get better at sales or different techniques in your workplace? Of course you do. So why have we become accustomed to just saying, this is how I am? I draft great, I don't manage good. Or I manage good and add drop good, but I don't draft great. And I don't trade well, and that's it. That's who I am. I'm Bob. I am already defined. This is who you get. This is what I am. Why not work on your weaknesses and turn them into strengths so you're the most well-rounded player? That's what you can do at thefantasyfootballshow.com. Not only with all this, but specifically this section that I'll have. By the end of maybe March, I hope to have like 50 video courses up. I hope to eventually have this as a rolling 50 to 100 video courses on there at all times. Anyway, this guy's going to be an absolute gem. Look for more on him. I'll absolutely be dropping a lot of AR5 content here very shortly. Bijan, are we worried? In recap, not really. Is it ideal? Probably not. But has Bill produced elite running backs in fantasy football? Yeah, he has. So what it all comes down to is he needs a quarterback. If he has a quarterback, I'm not worried. If he doesn't have a quarterback or appears to be oblivious that he needs one, and if they're oblivious about how they're going about it, if it sounds like their candidates are a bunch of Jimmy G garbage, then I'm very concerned. If it sounds like they're going to try and trade for Justin Fields, they're going to try and draft a Michael Penix Jr., or they do, then I'm very encouraged. The problem is, before the NFL draft, we have to make a lot of assumptions and dynasty startups and do value predictions and all that. So we're going to be batting blind for a little while. So let me just prepare every single one of you. You will be batting blind on Bijan's value until after the NFL draft or until some sort of big trade occurs. Okay, so NFL free agency coming up in March. You'll be batting blind. No one's going to know for sure, but we will get little news bits and little bites that come out on Bill Belichick's direction. What's he looking at? Oh, we might try and look at Jimmy G. Then I'm going to be in panic mode. Panic mode. Hey, we might bring in Russell Wilson. Better than what we were dealing with, I'll tell you that. You know, do I like Russell Wilson? No. Do I think he's a great quarterback? No. Do I think Bijan would survive with Bill Belichick and Russell Wilson? Probably. But we need at least that. We can't be dealing with what they have. Ritter. Sounds like a disease. And we can't be dealing with that. We can't be dealing with Jimmy G. We can't be dealing with garbage. It needs to be a Michael Penix Jr., it needs to be a potential Russell Wilson or higher, preferably Justin Fields. No one thinks Russell Wilson's the best option. I'm just saying that would be like hopefully your worst case scenario. And Russell Wilson with Bijan, with Drake London, with Kyle Pitts, maybe that's something that Bill can at least produce a high octane offense with, whether they win playoff games or not. It's just something we need to look at. Appreciate you all. Dial into the show. Decker with a super chat. My main man, Smitty. Thank you, Decker. Appreciate you dropping the super.
To the moon.
You get a moonshot and a standing O for being the first super chat of the evening. Deckard, my main man, Deckard. Deckard, my boy. Appreciate you. Dial into the show. Your boy will be answering questions for just a little bit here.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Answer just a little bit on these topics, specifically these topics, if you guys wouldn't mind coming in with questions and scenarios related to a lot of what we discussed, so we can keep it kind of on point a little bit tonight. I don't mind going astray and helping you with your fantasy dilemmas, but really would love to hear what a few of you think of Belichick, Bijan, and the combinations of Belichick and Bijan, because I think you can't answer this question. This is why I say you're batting blind for a little while. Because if Bill Belichick is the decision, and I've been live, and I don't know if there's been any major breaking news while I've been live because I've been ranting. If this is what happens, Bill Belichick to the Atlanta Falcons, we are batting blind. You can't just answer blanket, no or yes, you like it or you don't. You almost have to just what scenario do you like? What scenario do you don't like? Because like I said, Bill Belichick with no quarterback is concerning. Bill Belichick with a Justin Fields or somebody else, or a Michael Penix Jr., or they trade up in the draft. They're very aggressive, and they go after a Drake May or whatever. That is exciting. I think that could be okay. It also depends on the coordinator he brings in. So there's a lot of different moving parts to it. I think it's hard to say one way or the other. I do know that running backs have survived under Bill Belichick and done very well. So we can't ignore that just because of what we saw. What have you done for me lately with Ramondre Stevenson? He has had excellent producing fantasy football running backs in the past. He just hasn't had quarterback play, so the whole offense has crumbled. And he hasn't recognized what a good quarterback is. Part of me thinks the best solution is that we hear he's the coach, but he's not going to be making all the decisions. Like that, and he might be okay with that. Ron Navy, you're live.
Hey.
Yo.
Yeah, well, we do know that if Belichick does go to Atlanta, that you got to take probably 2 to 3 years off Bijan's career.
Why do you say that?
Because he goes through, he only stays with a running back for a year or two, and then he moves on to the next thing. It's his way of doing things. He always does it. Doesn't matter if the running back has had great success or not. He always moves on from the running back. He only gives them a year or two, and then next guy up. That's the way it is.
Is there a possibility that happens here? I suppose, but I think this I think this is a very unique and uniquely different situation, though, because Bijan's by far and away the best running back he's ever had the pleasure of coaching, and I think you can't. I think you can't. Like I said, I don't think you can blanketly cover everything based on the history. And not to mention, he's had very successful Ramondre Stevenson seasons. It's not like we can just say running backs suffer, running backs never produce. They always rotate. They've had rotational guys come in and out of New England, and those are much smaller names. I don't think we can use like what's his name, White. We can't just say like, oh, what was his first name, White, running back. James White, or what's his name? What's this guy's name?
I know who you're talking about, but he had a lot more.
What's his first name?
He had several top-notch running backs that he drafted. They had a great year, but
not Bijan.
Else.
But it's you can't. I mean, Bijan's different. Bijan's a completely different monster. I don't think you can ever. You can't just say it's going to happen. I think is there a little bit of a threat for it? Sure. But I mean, I wouldn't start drawing conclusions based on history, and that to think that he can't.
How easy is it for an old dog to change? How easy is it for an old dog to change?
Yeah, but again, Ron, he's never had Bijan Robinson. He's never had Bijan Robinson.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care about Bijan Robinson. He doesn't really care about running backs. He doesn't. That's just the way he is. He goes through them like he changes underwear every day.
I got you. I got you. Let me see what Perps thinks. Perps, go ahead. You're live.
Yeah, I guess I disagree with Ron. I think it opens the door. I mean, I don't think Bill's had a running back like Bijan that can catch the ball and is as good as Bijan. I mean, Stevenson's not bad, but Bijan's better.
Yeah, I just think I understand what Ron's saying, and like I said, I'm open-minded to that. There's the threat of that Bill has lost his mind, and he goes in there, and we're like, again? It's not out of the realm of possibility, but I don't think he's going to not see the difference here. And like I said, not to mention, it's not like he rotates them yearly. Running backs have a short shelf life anyway. To imagine him giving Bijan 3 or 4 straight years, it's not hard to imagine. But we'll see what happens if he starts getting injured or something like that down the stretch in 2-3 years from now, if Bill's even coaching then. But I'm not worried. The only thing is quarterback. I'm really not worried about whether Bijan will be used. We just saw Bijan be running back 9 in the worst usage we could possibly imagine or cook up for a team that ran the ball more than any team in the National Football League the year prior. They ran the ball 560-something times. Bijan only needed like 250, 270 of those carries. He needed about half of that 560-plus rushing attempts, and they screwed it up. And he still finished as running back 9. So I think Bill loves running backs. He loves running the ball. He loves defensive running the ball. And the only concern I have is there a quarterback there that can move the chains and get this team near the end zone? Because Bijan needs touchdowns in order to be a top 5 running back. He needs to be near the goal line. So I think that's what it comes down to me. I don't worry so much about this other than from the fact that Bill was misguided the entire time over the last 2 years at his quarterback position. Like, he didn't know what was what. He didn't know what was up and what was down. He didn't know who was good and who was bad. He didn't realize that his best quarterback was Malik Cunningham, who they continued to cut and bring back and cut and bring back, but never use him. There was kind of like near the end of the season, some rumblings about how he was getting reps with the ones and he might rise up, and then they cut him, and then they brought him back on the practice squad. That's my concern. I think they run the hell out of Bijan if they have a quarterback. I'm worried about a quarterback. Corey Dillon was his best running back, says Victor. Yeah, I mean, he had a slew of like scat backs. He had James White. He had Burkhead. These aren't Bijan Robinsons, you know. Like, I get Ron's concern. Ron, I share the concern on a certain level, like percentage wise. I'm like, in my back of my mind, I'm like, could he screw this up because he's senile and he's not of the right mind? But like, I don't think he could screw this up unless the offense can't move the football down the field, which is possible. We just saw him think Mac Jones was the answer, for goodness sake. So that's my concern.
Sonny Michel.
It's not Bijan. It's not Bijan, though. It's not even close to Bijan.
Ridley. Yeah, Cordell Patterson.
Ron, you're proving my point. Ron, those are nothing burgers. Those are nobodies compared to Bijan. Nobodies.
All right.
Nobodies.
What Bill Belichick said? Bijan's going to be great under Bill Belichick. He was great under Arthur Smith too, right? So there you go. Doesn't matter what his talent is; it matters how he's used. Just like Swift in Detroit. How was he used? Was he better on the Philadelphia Eagles? Yeah. Was he great? No, but still, it's how the back is used and what coach is using them.
But Ron, I know, but
throw them away.
Again, we're like going in circles. My argument, which clearly I think you disagree with, is that Bijan, none of those running backs hold a candle to Bijan. Not even close. So I don't think Bill's going to overlook that. I think that they're going to run the ball enough that it's not going to be a concern if they can get good blocking, get into red zone situations, and that's what I'm concerned about. I don't want a guy that has 100 total yards and never scores a touchdown. But I think Bill's proven, like, Stevenson is. I think people are using Stevenson as too much of a case study of bad when there was so much good with Stevenson in New England the last handful of years. Like, I think that there's more good to pull from Stevenson's time with Bill than bad. You know, because, like, in some respects, did Bill really totally misuse Stevenson, or was the offense just so bad that they couldn't even get him going? You know, there's that. I know. So that's what I'm saying. So, like, I think we're misjudging Bill's ability to get a lot out of his running back. I think he'll be fine.
Okay.
Let me go over to hang tight, Ron. Just sit right there. I'll swing back to you. Let's go over to Deckard. Deckard, you're live.
Yo, what's up, Sweeney?
What's up? What do you think? What do you think about Bijan, bro? What do you think? What scenario? Well, first of all, in general, how do you feel about the idea of Bill Belichick being the leading candidate to land in Atlanta? And what are your concerns and what are your excitements about it?
Excitement to be it's better than what they have for sure. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, either way it goes, it's going to be a little step up. My concern is, so what if it does start going bad? Like, how many games before he melts down and everything just starts, like, you know, being one of those Patriot seasons we've seen for the last few years?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the quarterback. Like, if he thinks Ritter's the answer, if, like, this is in-house, we got a good quarterback room, then we need to all start being like, okay, let's regroup real quick, and then we'll huddle up. And we'll be like, all right, guys, here's the problem. We need his ADP to now be in mid-second in order to be back in. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of conversation we're going to have. Again, like I said, we're batting blind right now because Bill doesn't necessarily equal bad. Bill with no quarterback equals bad. And we got to predict. We're batting blind right now. We have no idea. If Bill's got even Russell Wilson, who I know nobody probably wants. It's not the answer, right? But it's not the answer either. Like, Russell Wilson is a dime dropper. Like, you can rip on him all you want. He knows how to throw a great football. But I don't know that he's like your Super Bowl leading, like, he's not taking a team to a Super Bowl. But how do you feel about Russell Wilson under?
What does that look like with his contract? Like, wouldn't that be some kind of big cap hit for them? Or
the Broncos might cut him, bro. They're moving on. They're going to try and trade him. But guess what? No one wants that contract. And they've got to move on. They've already announced they're going a different direction. You know, like, there's been little backtracks on it. Like, oh, maybe they will keep him for another year. They're worried that now they can't trade him because they've let the cat out of the bag. Is there a possibility they hang on to him because of the dead cap money and all that? Yeah. But, you know, it's possible that the Falcons potentially trade for him if some of that cap is you know, like, it depends on the dead cap and who eats how much of it and all that. There might be some negotiation there. But, yeah, his contract isn't great. But if he's cut and released, it will be fantastic because it'll be, you know, start overtime. And they can offer him something that makes sense. But, I mean, what's your...
Change value, because, like, it'd be worth a lot more without all that in baggage.
Yeah, so, like, Russell Wilson, that's definitely an upgrade over Ritter, though, like, by a mile.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel as a fan, but I don't really care. I care about, okay, can this team move the ball? You know, like, Russell Wilson might be kind of intriguing in Atlanta in a way. Like, in a way, I'd be a little bit intrigued. I don't know that my expectation would be high. I just think I'd be like, well, kind of wonder how this is going to work out because maybe he's the right quarterback for Bill. You know, I don't know. It's definitely an option. You know, Michael Penix Jr. will be an option, especially I think this late in the draft. I don't think he's either going to fall past this 16 pick and then you're in a territory of like free fall because almost every team here doesn't need a QB unless you're the Miami Dolphins, who appear to be committed to Tua according to a new news report. But that's, you don't really know. They can still draft Penix Jr. and say they're committed to. But I think Penix Jr. would fall through this 17 through 32. You know, unless, you know, the Steelers took a look at him, Ron. I don't know I know you believe that Pickett's the answer, but I don't know if the team does. But that
came out and said staying with Pickett.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
what do you think Bill would be more apt to do? Would he be more apt to take a rookie or go after, you know, like more of a veteran guy?
See, I thought Bill would be really interested in Washington because then it would take some of the, like, you're getting leftover quarterbacks. Like, he got leftovers. He got a choice of Mac Jones. You know, he kind of had to roll with what he had. And I think that, you know, I thought that he'd be really interested and intrigued in that number 2 overall draft slot. But apparently he likes that 8. But I don't know. I think Russell Wilson will be on his mind. I think any competent coach would consider that.
That's what I was thinking. He would rather have a Russell Wilson than maybe take a chance on somebody he doesn't 100% know.
Yeah, I think because he's older and you don't know how long he's going to take. But I think, like, if he could get his hands on a Drake May, a Caleb Williams, or even a Bo Nix or something like that, I think I could see him being as intrigued. Because, I mean, Russell Wilson comes with some negatives and some risks, so it's not like he's a lock. But I don't know. I think equally, maybe. It just depends on, like, the cost of Russell Wilson, the contract, and what quarterback falls. If it's his let's say Bo Nix is his second quarterback on the board and he's sitting here at 8, then I could see him being head over heels over it. But I love Bo Nix in Atlanta. I love Bo Nix in a lot of places. Bo Nix is one of my favorite QBs in this draft class. What, Ron?
Cousins makes more sense for Belichick than any other quarterback out there. He's
Cousins.
a veteran.
Cousins.
Belichick's going to trust.
I thought Cousins wasn't going anywhere, Ron.
He's free agent, right? So if they
I know, but that's what I've argued though. That you said he's not leaving.
I don't want him to leave, but I mean, hey, money talks. Right?
Hey, I mean, look.
And Belichick's quarterback, so I mean, he'd rather have a veteran than have a nosed rookie to have to deal with. He wants to win now.
I wouldn't mind Cousins in Atlanta. I wouldn't mind Cousins in Atlanta. No. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind Russell Wilson in Atlanta, but I'd much rather have Cousins in Atlanta. I would probably like Cousins in Atlanta over any of the rookies, just because I don't care about. I'm not saying I don't love London. I'm not saying I don't love Pitts, but I'm more worried about Bijan. And so I don't want to wait on the development of a rookie. I don't want to take the chance that Bo Nix doesn't work out. I'd rather just take an option like, I'd almost say Russell Wilson's better than going random rookie, even though I'm high on Nix or Penix Jr. just because Russell Wilson will deliver. It's just a matter of will they win. I'm not so worried about that. I'm worried about it to a degree because I want continuity. I don't want turnover in the offense from year to year. I want Bijan to play in a great system that can continue to get better and build upon itself every year. But I think Russell Wilson, or specifically Cousins even better, will be pretty solid. Fields would be great. I don't know if Fields is the quarterback that Belichick would want, but he has had a running quarter. Everyone says he doesn't have running quarterbacks. Cam Newton, like we don't know what Bill really wants, to be honest. He's only had Tom Brady pretty much his whole career. So it's like hard to know when people say Bill's not that kind of quarterback kind of guy. Like, I don't think anybody really knows. He hasn't landed a quarterback that he's had or liked or had success with since Tom Brady. So we don't know what Bill's type is. Bill might like all shapes and sizes.
Bill might like the Chargers better than Atlanta. He's already got Herbert there, an established quarterback. He's already got defensive players there that he can run his schemes with. And so he might like the Chargers better than Atlanta.
The question is, do the Chargers like Harbaugh more than Bill? Because I think they probably will, but you never know. But I think...
Six-time Super Bowl coach? Come on.
What do you mean, come on? We rip on Bill Belichick all the time. He's not... We don't know...
The one time...
A lot of us don't...
I would have loved...
A lot of us don't think Bill has it anymore. Can whoever's got that car sound going on, their seatbelt off, can you mute yourself, please? I don't know who is that, but
Harbaugh loves to see on the Steelers. Wouldn't that be great to have the Jim Harbaugh and the Harbaugh brothers battle each other twice a year in the AFC North?
Your boy Tomlin's gonna get an extension.
Oh, I know he is, and now we're set for. Next year it's going to be the same regurgitated season of disappointment with everybody with their Coke bottle, fog glasses, blinders on, Tomlin blinders, putting them on a pedestal.
But Ron, in fairness, do you have Pickett blinders on though? I think you got
each other. If you put those two up against each other. In 15 years that Cowher coached, 15 years that Tomlin coached, Cowher had more wins and less losses. Cowher had more division titles. Cowher had a winning playoff record, and Tomlin has a losing playoff
Cowher's
record.
not in this conversation, though, Ron. But second of all...
No, but as long as we have Tomlin, we're not going nowhere. It's going to be a mediocre exit in the playoffs if you make playoffs.
But I believe you have Pickett goggles on too, though. Like, it goes both ways. Like,
they're both with Pickett. They came out today and they said that we're going to give. Mike Tomlin said we're giving Pickett another chance. We're going to hire.
I know this.
From outside, not from within. We're going to hire
Not
one from outside and give Pickett another chance to see if he can lead this team.
Ron, I know. Ron. I know. I'm saying you have Kenny Pickett goggles on. You're talking about people having Tomlin goggles on. You got big goggles on too because you think Pickett's the answer. He's not. That's part of the reason things aren't going well.
Has potential that hasn't been unlocked because he was shoved in his first year. He didn't play a full year, did he? No. Trubisky started, right, half the season, and then the second year he brings in Matt Canada that runs high school playbook, and he doesn't have a chance there either, does he? So, and listen. I mean, be reality, right? There's a lot of quarterbacks out there that haven't bloomed until their third year. Allen is one of those quarterbacks. There's several quarterbacks out there that haven't had a good year until their third year in. So, give them a good offensive coordinator. Give them somebody like Arians that can develop quarterbacks, because Tomlin sure can't develop quarterbacks.
I don't think you got a quarterback, Ron. All right, hold on a second, Ron. Let me go around the horn here. Cub. We're gonna go to the Cub, then we'll go. Deckard, you already talked, right? Or no?
Yeah, I did.
All right, hang tight. I'll come back to you. Let's go to the Cub, then I'll go to Cody, then I'll go to the Bolt. Go ahead, Cub.
Okay, so Pickett, his hands are too small.
Okay.
He can't throw. So that Pickett, they said, I think I got an update saying that they're bringing in quarterback competition to push him. So he's obviously not the guy. On a Raiders aspect, I think the Adams trade is a 50-50. There's kind of word going around, why isn't AP hired yet? And Champ Kelly's sitting in on coach interviews, and so he's pretty much in the GM. But supposedly the word is Tom Brady's holding back AP hire because he's a Mike Vrabel guy, and he's kind of in Mark Davis' ear because Tom Brady. I don't know. Just what's the kind of the word around with the Raider Nation?
It sounds like you're telling me a whole bunch of nothing so far, Cub. Come on, hit me with something.
I think the Adams trade is like a 50-50. I would.
Okay.
My heart says Adams stays, but my mind, I don't know. It could happen if AP's not the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, again, this right here has got a whole bunch of buzz around it. Doesn't mean anything solid or whatever, but it's just ironic that the number 17 has opened up because Garrett Wilson's going back to his old number. But that was announced back in April that was going to happen anyway. But the number hold on, Cub, hold on. Number 17's open up. Aaron Rodgers has had big grins on his face when asked about Davante Adams heading to the Jets. Is that a possibility? There's very, very, very much the vibe that Aaron Rodgers gets requests. He gets to kind of have what he wants kind of occur, or at least pursued. And Adams very, very much has left tons of little statements and comments and little breadcrumbs everywhere all the time when he's asked about playing with Aaron Rodgers. How would it feel to go back? He misses Aaron Rodgers. He loves Aaron Rodgers. They hang out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of reasons why that you would think that this reunion wants to occur. They're trying to will it to occur. Will it happen? Will the Raiders even be interested in it? I don't know. It depends how much they think they can win now. But if I'm Pierce and I'm head coaching this thing and I get a fresh contract, I know I've got some time. It's not a 1 year and done thing. And I think that at 31 years old, he turns 32 during the season, and 30 years old is the drop-off age for wide receivers. Look at Diggs, look at Cooper Kupp, even look at Davante Adams, who played at 30 and turned 31 during the season. None of them were consistent. None of them were on the field, the whole time. This is the way it is. And so if you're Pierce, you have to be looking to move him. It's a big contract that not many teams would be willing to take on. It's a big contract, and the Jets will be willing to pay because not only this man wants it, but Robert Saleh's got really one opportunity, I think, at this point, because he really, regardless of his circumstances last year, unfair, but they are what they are. It's a what have you done for me lately league. So I think Adams, there is definitely at least a 40, I think I said 35 to 40% chance of something like this happening. I really believe that. So you're not off base with what my prediction is. Okay, go ahead. What else you got, real quickly, Cub?
So I said 50-50 because I don't honestly. I think AP is gonna be head coach, but I kind of don't know honestly. Because if he is the head coach, I don't know why he isn't hired yet. Okay, then another thing about Bijan. I think everything's pro for him. I think he's on the up. I think Bill Belichick is more of a defensive minded, and I think he's smart enough because I think the offense is running through more so.
Let me translate what Cub's saying, because Cub, you're not complete your sentences. You're kind of going all over the place. I think what Cub's trying to say is that they're going to run the damn ball. If Bill Belichick wants to rule through defense and run, this is good for Bijan. Did I translate?
Yeah.
Okay.
The new quarterback and the new system, everything, they're going to start it from like fundamental football, which is just run the ball.
There you go.
And I feel like, and then I feel like also too, a reason why Arthur Smith lost his job was because those people didn't produce that they spent a lot of the draft capital on. So I think the main thing of the next head coach, and they're going to emphasize on anybody they hire, is to get these players to produce. And that's going to be the main qualifier of who they hire.
Thank you,
so
Cub.
I feel like,
all right, Cub, 10 seconds. Go. Finish your thought.
Oh, my thought? I'm honestly, I'm really scared about the Adams. That hits home right now. I could see it going either way, whether he stays or where he stays. I think it just comes down to the head coach. And then another thing that's pretty thing to watch on is where Cliff Kingsbury goes, because he's a top candidate for the Bears right now.
Chris Kringleberry. Is that what you said?
No, Cliff Kingsbury.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sounds like you said Kringleberry.
Dingleberry? That's a good but I feel like that's a good person to watch this offseason to see where he goes, because he was a Caleb Williams guy. And where I feel like wherever he goes, he's going to have a very good voice on who's going to be the starting quarterback.
Yeah, Chicago's looking at him, and you can say Kingsbury's an awful coach all you want, but his offenses his air raid system is very, very attack. So
he coached USC with Caleb Williams, so it's just like I feel like. Yeah,
he's selling himself right now to Chicago, saying, "Look, I can coach this kid.
Yeah,
I can do it. I promise you, this is what I could do." His resume, his whole presentation, his PowerPoint was about Caleb Williams. All right, hey Cub, hold on 1 second, bro. Hold on, hang tight.
Where he goes.
All right,
I just want to say
Cub, you had enough time. You won't call back in a little bit, Cub. We'll get you back in the cycle. He would not stop. All right, let's go over to it was Cody, then DeBalt, then Corey. Call back in a minute, Cub. I had to cut you off because you wouldn't slow down. Cody, go ahead. You're live.
You know what's up, Smitty?
What's up?
So first off, let me ask you, the floor for Bijan has to be decent, because even under the mismanagement of Arthur Smith, I think you said he finished 9 on the season?
Yeah, he finishes running back 9 despite having the worst circumstance. I don't think we could have painted a worse situation for him. I really don't, unless he didn't play at all. Like he was running back 9, and just to put that in perspective, he was better than Gibbs.
He was better than Gibbs, and Algier was seeing the field way too much.
In a sense, it's like you gotta be kind of in awe of that. Like, wow, running back 9, and it felt like he was a backup running back the whole year. I believe.
Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Right.
So
as a Pats fan, let me preface that. But
yeah, go ahead.
And I'm pretty sure Belichick, when we hear the news that he's going to Atlanta first, I think he sees that Atlanta is the best team aside from the quarterback, because the quarterback stinks there. I think if he can get someone in who can do his mantra of "do your job," I think everyone can succeed there, because
that's the problem.
The talent is there aside from the quarterback.
That's the concern, though. The only concern I have, and it could be a concern that gets alleviated right away, is does he know who that I can do my job quarterback is or not? Because he doesn't appear to based on last year. So I'm concerned. I hope he has the right decision makers in place that he will trust, and he'll bring in an OC, and he won't make all the decisions. Maybe we hear that he's not going to have full control of everything, and that would be good. Maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe at his older age, he's like, look, I want to have a lot of say, but I don't necessarily, feel like maybe I need to bring in the right minds to get this thing done.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with having advisors. There's a reason why the heads of big CEOs have like a legal team and advisory board, because like sometimes your best advice and decisions, and this is case in point with Adam Peters in San Francisco. Everybody wants to give Kyle Shanahan all the props for everything that's happened in San Francisco, when I would say over 50% of the reason the Niners are where they're at right now is this man, Adam Peters, right here, who was the assistant GM in San Francisco for many years. They didn't vault him up like they should have, and they lost him. And now Adam Peters is in Washington, about to turn this whole franchise around in 2 or 3 years. This is the new Houston Texans. This is the Houston Texans in about 2 years from now, because of this man right here. And the Niners let him slip away. And if you think about it, he made a lot of decisions and everybody just kind of acted like he didn't. It's all Kyle Shanahan. This guy made a ton of decisions. He found Kittle. There's a lot of players that you got to attribute to this man, Adam Peters. So it's okay if Bijan Robinson Bill Belichick doesn't make all the decisions, but is a great coach and gets it all done and buttoned up on the field. That's what he needs to focus on. And I think that maybe he's a better coach than we know. We assume that he's washed, but that's because he's not doing the personnel things properly anymore. So if we can take some of that away, and maybe they don't, maybe they give him full control. But if they take some of that away, maybe the great things shine out in Bill again. You know what I mean? Maybe he shines through.
Yeah, because he's been wearing both the hats. A lot of people have been talking about his past decisions with running backs. He's been wearing the GM hat and the coaching hat. So if a guy fumbles the ball, guess what? He's getting sacked, or he's getting cut the next year, or we're bringing in somebody else. I think he sees that Bijan is the most talented player he's had at the running back position.
Yeah.
If he goes to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And so the sky is the limit. No matter who the quarterback is, Bijan's going to get the checkdowns.
Yep.
He's going to get the ball. He's going to score. So I think no matter what, the floor is going to be decent, and the sky is the limit with Bijan. So that's my take on it.
I think Bijan has 15 touchdowns next year, no matter what. But again, we're batting blind a little bit right now because we don't know who's quarterbacking. That can make a big difference. So thank you, pal. Appreciate you. Cody, call in another time, pal.
Yep.
Later. Let me go over to the Bolt. You're live.
What's going on, Smitty?
What's up, pal?
So I gotta agree with that. I understand what Ron's saying about look how Arthur Smith used Bijan, but Arthur Smith used Bijan as a backup quarterback, backup running back. He used Algier as a starting running back. So you gotta take that whole take out of the window. Bill Belichick will use Bijan as he sees fit. I don't see a problem with it. Now, I know it's a little odd, but I like Bill Belichick going to Atlanta because Bill Belichick likes to throw to tight ends. And if he has any say-so in that offense, this is going to be a steal, which is why I took him as tight end 4 this year. But I don't know, kind of a can be a very good discussion. But that's just kind of where I'm at right now. But I have no worries on Bijan. This is only going to get better.
I think we got to also keep in mind, like, as much as I am worried about the quarterback position, think about what New England's had the last handful of years. It's been Stevenson, and he's been amazing. So we got to acknowledge that running backs can't survive under Bill, but they haven't had much of anything. Like to get handed Kyle Pitts, to get handed Drake London, to get handed Bijan, defense is capable. That there's a lot here that he did not have in New England, and so I wonder how many great coaches you could have shoved in New England. Maybe if they knew how to get the right quarterback, it would have changed quicker, and maybe they wouldn't be out right now like Bill is. But I don't know that a lot of people would have succeeded with that level of talent. The problem is Bill didn't bring in the right talent. I'll be very intrigued too how my opinion changes of this New England situation, because with Bill there, I dreaded the idea of JD5 going to New England at number 3 overall. Now that Bill's out of there, I'm almost not as appalled by the thought of this landing spot for JD5, because JD5 could potentially thrive there if they start building around him. I think there are better spots. I'd rather have JD5 go to Washington. I want JD5 to go to Washington because of all the things I just said about Adam Peters, new GM in Washington, and I think that he knows talent, and I think he's going to be targeting JD5. So that's my ideal landing spot, but I think that New England now becomes a potential place that's going to rebuild differently. So Bill's a problem and not a problem at the same time. I think you give him a lot of talent, I think he'll be fine. If you make him have to build the team himself, he's going to do a pretty crappy job. We've seen that. So we just got to hope the right quarterback gets in there. Even if it's a Russell Wilson, it's better than, way better than what it's been. Way better. Thank you, Scott, for the super chat here, pal. Appreciate you. The take a lap button is working. I'll hit it for you. So Scott, take a lap, $10 holler. Appreciate you. It didn't work when I first pushed it, but yeah. DeBalt, one final thing. I'm going to swing back around to Corey and then Lando.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yep.
Okay. DeBalt, hang tight. Corey, go ahead. You're live.
My bad. I thought you were telling me that you were going to speak to them already. Okay. No, real quick, I wouldn't be surprised if they take Drake May.
Who's talking right now? Who's talking right now?
Take this is the ball. Sorry. My bad, man.
Okay, hold on. Let me go to DeBalt real quick. Final thoughts, DeBalt, and then I'm going to go to Corey, then I'm going to go to Lando. So DeBalt, go ahead.
Yeah, sounds good. No, I was just saying I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Belichick goes after Drake May. That's the kind of quarterback he likes.
Yeah, definitely he'd have to trade up because he's not getting them at 8 probably, but that's definitely in the cards. All right, thank you, DeBalt. Hey, I'm going to clear the phone line. Appreciate you, bro. See you on the Dynasty channel tonight. Let's go to Corey. Corey, real quickly, I got to kind of wrap up here. You've got 30, but I'll give you more time if it's an interesting topic. Go ahead.
I got 3 points. 1, Pickett sucks, and so does Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Davante, it makes sense for him to be moved because
that was
Raiders
smart
are not
comment.
mode now.
Good, Corey. Good
Hey,
wow.
Ron, just like in a political debate, you'll get a rebuttal since you were mentioned. So hold on a second. Go ahead, Corey. Finish yours.
As far as being around,
because he only said that to rile me up.
Go ahead,
I am
Corey.
worried with Belichick because, he never had Bijan, but he never had Algier either as a backup. So I'm a little worried there. But
yeah, Algier's scaring the hell out of me. All right, thank you. Appreciate you, Corey. And before you go, Corey, Ron, would you like to say anything? Keep it as civil as possible. I know he took a low blow to you, but go ahead, Ron. He did mention you by name, so you go ahead.
No, it's all good. It's all good. No, he did it. He did it. So I wanted to interrupt him. I did it on purpose. So
okay.
Move on.
Corey, thank you, Corey. Call in later. I'll be live on the Dynasty.
Time for you.
You what? You what?
I'll talk a little slower for you next time.
All right, later, Corey. Call in later. Let's go over to Lando. Lando, you got 30.
Hey, what's going on, Smitty? It's Lando out of Boston. Quick question. With the third pick, what do you think the Pats should do? A lot of us are thinking MGH, but MJH, but you think MJH alignment in the free agent quarterback for next year?
MHJ, Marvin Harrison.
Yes, I'm sorry, Marvin Harrison. Yes.
No, I don't. Why would you take Marvin Harrison? You have no quarterback. Who are you going to throw? Who's going to throw it to him? You going to kick the ball to him? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to trade for, Fields? Like, why? I mean, I would not take Marvin Harrison Jr. If you take Marvin Harrison Jr. in New England, I'm going to run my head through this wall. I'm sorry. I know you didn't want to hear that. I know you didn't want to hear that because you're a Pats fan, but, like, who's going to throw the ball to him? Do you believe Mac Jones is good? So, Lando, you could feel differently than me. You don't have to. I'm not mad at you. I'm just curious.
No, I wouldn't consider Mac Jones at this point, in neither of the quarterbacks. But free agent list could come into play. So we were thinking perhaps a free agent quarterback that just comes in, slides in for a year, and we just see how it goes. But at the same time, we develop our O-line, which we really need to do, and we'll have a top-tier receiver.
What pick do you guys have in the second round? I don't have the second round up on my board here.
I'll bring it up real quick.
You know what would be interesting? Let's just say you took Marvin Harrison Jr. and Penix Jr. fell to the second round, and you had the number 3 pick in the second round. I don't know if you guys have that. That would be a move.
Yeah.
That would be a move.
Or They bring in Cousins to go with Marvin Harrison.
Or Ron, who is anti-Cousins, goes anywhere, is now his biggest proponent of going to all these new locations.
I would consider Cousins.
Ron, I know he's a free agent. I remember specifically on other live streams you trying to roast me to pieces because I was like, Cousins may not come back, Ron. And you're like, there's no way Cousins isn't not coming back. I'm just saying, I'm enjoying it. I'm not mad at you, Ron. I'm just enjoying the fact that Ron Navy's open-minded. Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you take Marvin Harrison, you need a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins. Makes sense. I can't control where Cousins goes.
Yeah.
I know where I'd like him to stay, but he's going to go where they offer him the money.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of cap space with New England. I can consider Cousins on an extension deal, franchise. I don't know, 1 year, 2 deal.
Problem is though, boys, is Marvin Harrison Jr. is a nice piece to lure somebody in, but there's not enough, I think, here for him to be like, that's where I'm going. You know, he's going to go to a contender, which I'm not saying the Patriots couldn't build around that, but I think Cousins is going to a contender or he's staying in Minnesota where he thinks he's a contender in Minnesota. But let me just give you the picture I would paint that I would love Marvin Harrison Jr. in New England is if you got Penix Jr. in the second round. But if you're dancing around all these bad quarterbacks, like you don't even land a Russell Wilson, this is a horrible landing spot for Marvin Harrison Jr. Who you should take with this pick would probably be either JD5, Drake May, or Bo Nix. I think that's the only answer. I think if I was in this situation and I couldn't trade for Fields, like would I trade for Fields and get, without using this 3 pick, and get Marvin Harrison Jr.? Yeah, that's your ideal scenario. That's number one.
Right.
That's number one. But if you can't get Fields, and then you got to draft a quarterback, I think, bro. So that
what
would
are
be
the odds? What are the chances then the Bears look into Caleb? Because I'm hearing Washington's really hot on Caleb. He has
Caleb?
DC connected ties.
Caleb?
Yeah, sorry, Caleb.
Caleb? Caleb Williams. that guy. Caleb. I don't know. The Caleb is, look, Chicago's taking him, I think. You know, not only that, like you just heard the other caller call, they're interviewing OCs that want Caleb bad, and so it's kind of all lining up. But I think they're taking Caleb Williams, Caleb. But you never know, bro. You never know. Guys climb up really quickly. Let's say they took JD5, but why would they do that when they're getting rid of a mobile quarterback? I think they want to go, not that Caleb's not mobile, but they want to go, I think, in the direction of a different quarterback. Jimmy G could be cut, says Loco. Bro, if Jimmy G a starting quarterback on any one of these teams walking into 2024, you might as well just seal 0 wins on your team. I hope that's a cautionary tale there. If Jimmy Garoppolo is in New England, or I'm sorry, not New England, in Atlanta, quarterbacking for Bill Belichick, we might as well all pack it in. We might as well just pack it in. It's done. It's over. Jimmy Garoppolo. Worst quarterback in the National Football League. All right. Hey, I gotta go, Lando. Appreciate you. Hopefully your team makes the right calls. There's a couple moves I would make, bro. Fields, and then draft Marvin Harrison Jr. And the other option would be, like I said, Penix Jr. falls, or you draft a quarterback. You go straight at the problem, bro, and you build around it. All right. Appreciate you, Lando.
Absolutely. Take it.
Yeah. Let's go over to Frankie Knuckles. You got 30 seconds, Frankie, 'cause I got to get out of here.
All right. He might not be available, or he's not available, but I'd like to see Benenemy go to the Steelers.
Ron?
That'd be interesting.
Ron, you were mentioned by name, by proxy. Benenemy?
I think Ferguson is definitely a top 5 tight end for me. And one more thing, Smitty. We got to get St. Brown on the Mars, man. Dude, the guy was a playoff king.
Yeah.
He crushed it in 3 leagues.
I mean, he's been a Moon Man graduate every single year. Like, I highly doubt he's not on one of the lists. But, I mean, right now I'm trying to get a jump on some of the players that people don't expect to be there. Like we've done a lot of that already with the Saturn men. They're all big name players. I'm trying to, like at some point, we're gonna be acknowledging that St. Brown's a king like usual. So you don't have to convince me. He was a moon man extraordinaire. I'm the one touting St. Brown walking into his big year. You don't have to convince me, pal. I love him.
Yeah, no, I know. I just figured I'd put it out there because
nothing wrong with that.
20-plus points in the playoffs.
Nothing wrong with that.
Every game.
All right, bro. Appreciate you, Frankie. Later.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the nicest guy in the world on the phone, but like can be a son of a gun in the comments. Frankie Knuckles. It's like it's like night and day. It's like Denny at night and Denny during the day. You know, like when I saw Denny in the middle of the day at Circus Sports, you know, in Las Vegas, he's like, "You know who I am?" Like talking like this. "Hey, Smitty, do you know who I am?" And I thought it was another guy that told me he was coming down. I'm like, "Hey, it's Steve," and he's like, "It's Denny," and I'm like, "Denny?" And then Denny comes by later. "Hey, Smitty, it's Denny." It was like two different people. It was amazing. Perps gifting memberships like a madman. Perps, appreciate you dropping a 10 WAD membership. Okay, Ron, final thoughts.
Hey, but Bielemy wouldn't be too bad. He's strict. He runs a strict offense. And you know what? Kansas City's offense hasn't looked too great since he left, has it? So.
I also feel like Bieniemy's not laterally moving over to OC. You know, he's going to try and go from his next job to a head coaching job. That's what his goal is going to be.
He won't be hired as a head coach.
Maybe if he hired me to do interview skills with him, I'd be like, "Look, Eric, this is how you talk to somebody when you're in front of them." I don't know what I would love to see their interview footage of Bieniemy in an interview, because I hear it's awful. Like, is the guy just like looking down the entire time, like, you know, reading off a note card or something? Like, what's he doing? How is he talking? Anyway, yeah, I think, but the thing is, Bieniemy might look like a genius at the end of the day, though, Ron. You know, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I don't know. I kind of think that the only thing that would keep Belichick from going to Atlanta is the quarterback, and the Chargers have all-pro quarterback right there waiting for him. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I still Chargers than Atlanta, but we'll see.
We'll see what Bieniemy is able to do, like I said, as Washington builds around him. But
yeah.
All right, Ron, appreciate you. Later.
Yeah, later.
This Adam Peters knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Everybody there is going to flourish. Perps, what can I do for you?
Nothing, just enjoying the show.
I appreciate the 10 gifted memberships. Everybody that got one, thank Perps. He's on the line right now. Final thoughts about let's see. You're a Minnesota fan. So what's your vibe there? Like, are you hearing any kind of chatter about Cousins probably returning? Kind of testing the waters to get like contract leverage and coming back? Like, is there anything circling around locally about Kirk Cousins that you've heard from people that you're connected to?
Nothing that I've heard, only that he wants to stay in Minnesota.
It seems like it.
He's got his kids and his family here. He's close by where the stadium and the practice field is, and he doesn't want to move.
Yeah.
You know, a Michigan guy, so it's a similar lifestyle. So
I kind of feel like that's going to happen. I feel like he's going to come back. I think at the end of the day, JJ's requested that he gets him back. They want to keep JJ happy. They'll offer Cousins what he wants. Cousins has already said it's not about money; it's about fit. And if his home is there, how is there a place that's going to be any more fitting for him? I think it's just leverage, and it is about money. He could say it's not about money. It is about money. Everybody acts like it's not about money. It is about money to a degree. Like, is he going to turn down a place a little bit more money? Sure. But at the end of the day, he's not taking a 50% cut to go somewhere. He will absolutely go somewhere else if it comes down to that. It's not about money. Sometimes people say it's not about money, it's about respect. But the amount of money you get is the level of respect that you measure. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's all about money. But I do think Cousins probably ends up staying. I'd say 70% chance he stays in Minnesota. But where else could he go? I mean, we kicked around a lot of opportunities he could look to. I don't think it'll be somewhere like New England where it feels very, very far away from being, a great spot. And, he doesn't know how everything's going to unfold draft-wise and, all that. So we'll definitely be kind of on the lookout for what happens with Kirk Cousins. It'll definitely affect a lot of different things. But I think the most common conversation we're going to have in the coming months will be around this man, Justin Fields, and where he ends up. Bears, Falcons, Commanders, Broncos, Vikings, Seahawks, Raiders, Saints, Patriots. Lot of potential places he could be. I don't think the Bears want him. I think had he finished on a tear, which he was spotty. He played great, he ended on kind of an okay note at best. I think this is a good opportunity, open door for the Bears to say goodbye. Had he blown up in his final contest, ended things on an absolute heater, I think they would have had a tougher time, the Bears, moving away from him. But this will be the most common talked about player in the coming weeks and months. All right, Perps, appreciate you, bro. We'll see you on the Dynasty channel tonight, maybe.
Yep, sounds good. Yep.
Later. All right, we have, I think, no more super chats to get through. I cannot wait for the Underdog Big Board Draft to open up in a few weeks. Balls Life, I can't either. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, guys. That's how you get in to a draft. We'll be drafting maybe tonight. Underdog Fantasy. You know what? I'm going to draft tonight on... God, maybe we shouldn't do this on the Dynasty channel, but I'm trying to get a lot of people over to the Dynasty channel, so I'm tempted. Perps gifted another 20 memberships. Perps to the freaking moon.
To the moon.
Perps to the moon. But Underdog Fantasy, link is in the live chat pinned. The link is in the description of the video. Code Smitty also gets it done. It doubles your first deposit up to $100. There are $5 mitten drafts right now that you can jump in for $5, draft a playoff team that has to weather through every week in the final team standings. So you're strategic about what players you're picking. You're picking Pacheco over a better running back because you feel like Pacheco could go to the big dance. Or if you think the Chiefs are going to get knocked out by the Ravens, your number one running back, not in the draft, but like the guy you avoid drafting RB and come around middle rounds and grab is Gus Edwards because you think the Ravens are going to be in the Super Bowl. So you creatively build your team around Lamar and other pieces, and you can maybe grab some divisional round guys that might get bumped out but help you win that divisional round game. And then you get to the end and you've got your Ravens crew to help, hammer home the victory. So unbelievable way to get involved in playoff fantasy football. If your season didn't end like you wanted, or it did end like you wanted, but you still are just jonesing for more fantasy football goodness, then Underdog Fantasy, link in the description, link in the live chat pinned. Code Smitty does the same thing. The links insert Code Smitty for you. You can draft in a $5. They're called the Mitten Returns. The Mitten Returns, go do it. It's absolutely amazing. It's the best way to play playoff fantasy football. I have so much fun. I'm in there at night. You get in there in a late draft. You'll see me in there. I'm drafting all the time. Appreciate you all. And let's see if we've got anything else. Thank you, Balls Life. Appreciate you. Let's see if we got anything else here. I'm looking for a good question. Let's see here. Development. Howell, I don't know if Howell is going to have any sort of future. He's a good quarterback, but I don't know that he's great. JD5 to the Pats. I'm okay with it more than I was when Bill was there. Russell Wilson would be a solid bridge QB in Atlanta. Drake London would get Sutton-type looks. I agree. I think Russell Wilson would not be bad. I think it's one thing to talk about Russell Wilson winning playoff games, and it's another to be like, is it good for Bijan? Is it good for, the offense? JJ wants Cousins back. Absolutely, no question about it. Perps to the effing moon, says Ball is life. Balls of Life, make sure you turn on your ability to accept gifted memberships because some people don't have that turned on. And for anybody that's missed who is the Moon Men, Mars Men, Saturn Men, as of this moment, here are your Saturn Men.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for Saturn.
I did bump Puka up to a Saturn Man to make more room for the Mars Men.
He's on a shuttle to Mars.
Hey,
Mars Men.
Stroud, McBride are the tight ends. Or, I'm sorry, are the Mars Men. We got a tight end in McBride.
Aimlessly in space.
McBride on the Mars Men, and then the Moon Men, Bowers.
Dropping loads in outer space.
What's up, Travis?
I know you're on your way out, and I don't know, maybe I missed this earlier. But in terms of Bill Belichick in Atlanta, did you see this thing they were talking about last offseason? He wanted to trade Mac Jones and sign Mayfield. How would you feel about him doing that in Atlanta if he got Mayfield? You want something better there, or do you think Mayfield could work with that offense?
He's playing really good right now.
I hadn't thought about it. It might not be that bad.
It wouldn't be the worst, but it definitely would make me feel a little bit uneasy. But, I mean, Baker's playing great right now. I guess I'd be almost okay with that. It'd be better than keeping what's in-house, bro, like, for sure. But
it's interesting. I mean, it just sparked my interest a little because of how good Baker is playing. I know he's, like you said, it's also kind of nerve-wracking too, though. But I just wanted your opinion on it quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's an intriguing thought for sure. Belichick.
I hadn't thought of it at all.
Baker. It would be interesting.
He always likes Baker.
Yeah, he does. I don't know how I feel about Baker. I don't think Baker's an elite fantasy quarterback by any means, but is he beneficent? Is he deserving of this conversation? Absolutely. Like, from a football perspective, and there's sometimes a divide between football and fantasy, and this seems to be one of those situations as well. We've had a few of them tonight. Usually there's very few and far between opportunities that are different in real life versus fantasy. They usually go hand in hand. But Baker's definitely one of those players that, like, from a fantasy perspective, we're not, starting him by any means, but, like, he would be kind of okay.
Well, Mike Evans and Rashad White were amazing with him. So, he can support them, two players like that.
Yeah.
Good offense, at least, But,
yeah, I don't hate it.
What Belichick does.
I don't hate it.
I had just seen that. I wasn't sure if you covered it, but I'll jump because I know you're getting ready
All right.
to go. So
All right, Travis. Appreciate
I'll talk to you on the Dynasty channel.
Later, bro.
Later.
I'll also be live on Instagram in a little bit, doing a quad box live stream. Probably getting the Niner community all ruffled because they usually poke at me and have me answer questions that they don't want me to answer, and then I answer it, and then so I'll be on Instagram on a live stream in just a little bit. Doing the quad box. We'll probably have like 400, 500 people in that live stream on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Insta, get on over there, The Fantasy Football Show, just like this channel, youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show, or Instagram @The Fantasy Football Show. So catch me outside over there. I'll be on IG doing it live. Appreciate you all in here, and I'll see you in a little bit. And I'll be live on the Dynasty channel. If anybody didn't know, we have a Dynasty channel. And I go live pretty much. I didn't last night, so I got to make up for it. But I go live pretty much every day or upload a video every day. And I'll continue to do so. I'll have over 365 videos or a combination of live streaming videos on the channel. So youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. Make sure you follow that right now. I'll drop the link in the live chat right this very second so you can subscribe. And we'll be live on the Dynasty channel tonight, okay? So make sure you subscribe and join over there. This one, can Bill handle the personality of Russell? He was too much. I don't know. That's a good question, Perps. Perps, thanks for the $20 hauler. Perps dropping another.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Perps dropping a 20 wad. That's a really good question, Perps. Tough to know. Thank you all. Thank you, Perps. Thank you all my super chatters. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Deckard. Thank you, Perps. Thank you, Perps, for the gifted memberships. I'll see you all on the Dynasty channel tonight. And thanks for joining me here tonight. And where's my Stratosphere button? Where's my Stratosphere?
Liftoff of mission 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi, my name is Bijan Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring. Brees Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Brees. He's Brees.
He does a hull of a job. A hull of a job. A hull of a job.
Brees Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a hell of a job.
Get Brees.
Thank you to all my unicorn super chatters.
He is a unicorn.
You all. See you on the Dynasty channel tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'm always live, 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'm always live when big news breaks, and I'm always live randomly during the graveyard shifts and so forth. So make sure you are constantly checking the channel. Make sure you got that bell notification punch so you get all the notifications. And on Instagram, there's a little channel you can subscribe to. If you go to my IG profile, there's little circles. One says channels. Click that, subscribe to it for free, and you'll get an alert every time I go live in case you miss notifications over here. So hit me on IG. I'm going on IG in about 5 to 10 minutes to go live with the quad box. I'll be live on Instagram. About 400, 500 people will be in the building, if not more, in that live stream. So hit me on IG right now. See you all later.